and welcome to another episode of Hallmarked. I'm Kristen,
I'm Aya.
and we are remote recording for the first time.
2020 vibes.
Yes, I'm not well, and Aya has not been well, and we
No.
decided that we should keep our unwellness to ourselves.
Yeah, you stay away from me. I don't want to be anywhere near you.
That is
It's
so fair.
yeah, and this has been fun so far. We spent the past 20 minutes trying to figure this out. Are
Yeah,
we tech heads? Absolutely not.
No, do you know what though? I reckon if we were recording this podcast in 2019 to 2021, we would have been all over this.
Oh, do it blindfolded by now if you were doing it then.
But it's been a year and we've forgotten how to live in lockdown.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, enough about our current situation. We are reviewing Candy Cane Christmas, which
Yep.
is a Stan. Not original. It wasn't a Stan original. It's just a movie on Stan that is a Christmas movie along the same lines as Hallmark.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we have some things to say about it. My first note is uh-oh kids, sorry Aya. So we're gonna have a great time.
Oh, yeah. So this movie, spoiler alert, was terrible. And you could tell that it was not a Hallmark movie. And then do you know what I thought after watching it? I was like, wow, do you know what? We pay out the Hallmark branded movies sometimes in the way that they're written, but honestly, they're actually really well written compared to what we watched.
Yes, it's true. It's very true. Before we go any further, though, we should probably tell everybody what this movie is about.
Oh, I used to write these long blurbs. I've given up on that and I vibe it on the day.
Amazing.
I probably should go back to writing. So the IMDb blurb or plot synopsis, whatever you want to call it, is as Phoebe is searching for a new tradition to lift her holiday spirits, she realizes that it's not the traditions we cherish, but the people with whom we share them. That gives me nothing in terms of a movie plot. So, okay, Phoebe, she is obsessed with Christmas, particularly this one event called Candy Cane Lane that she went to when she was a kid. And then as she's grown up, she's just become more obsessed with it. And it's basically her entire personality. So she was a kid. Cut to she's an adult and she owns a fun shop. And she finds out that the Candy Cane Lane isn't going to happen anymore because she's still friends with one of the ladies from the streets. And
from the streets.
Sorry, from the street where Candy Cane Lane is held, because she's very much still involved. After all these years, she basically has a cry about it. Oh, my life is nothing without Candy Cane Lane. Her friend tells her to get over it and really to find new traditions. So that's where we're at. So she's trying to find new traditions. She happens to meet this guy, Eric, who's a vet, and he's living his life, being single, but just not ready to date. And they have a meet cute, stumble across each other, and kind of have these dating mishaps where they think they're on a date, but they're not. And then they go on dates with other people and happen to bump into each other. And then their non-dates are actually actual dates. And then I'm trying to remember.
Sad about being on dates.
They get, yeah. And then the conflict of this is he had a fiance and it's been a year since they broke up. So they kind of start dating loosely. And then she overhears a conversation where she thinks he's gotten back together with his fiance, which is not true. And what he's been doing behind the scenes, because she can't get over all the festiveness and Christmas and that's her personality, as I've said. He puts on a surprise Candy Cane Lane where she lives to make up for the fact that the other one didn't happen, and they end up together. Is that right?
That's pretty much it, mate. And
Well
we said earlier, It wasn't a great movie,
No.
and that Aya has probably covered all plot lines.
Literally nothing happened in this movie. Nothing.
The movie opens with a lot of children, and I was nervous. I was nervous to keep going because I was like, I already know that Aya's gonna hate this movie.
It and it was like there were children. Again,
Mhm.
I have to stress, I don't have a problem with children. I have a problem with their acting abilities.
Mhm.
But the parents were no better. Like
No.
they were terrible. So keep going. Yeah.
I'm not yawning at you, Aya. I'm yawning because I'm exhausted.
I know.
By illness, stupid COVID. Um, Still bringing us down, but we've got to power through because
We
the
got to
people
power through.
need a review of this movie.
Yeah. We need the Christmas spirit, okay?
We need the Christmas spirit. Um, my first note after "Oh kids, sorry, Aya" was "Girl, you're a fully grown adult. It's a street full of lights." Um, and I remember, I
Yes.
don't know if you ever went, but there was a suburb near, I think it was the Logan Hyperdome, very niche Brisbane reference there.
Mm,
Um, that did a very similar thing. The whole street at
right.
Christmas would do Christmas lights there's a radio station here that has a competition every year
Mm-hmm.
for Christmas lights, and they would enter every year, and every year that was the like we had to go visit that street because the whole street would do it. At the very end, it was a cul-de-sac. At
Mm-hmm.
the very end, the house at the end would have a Santa, and we could go in and explore it, and it was great as kids. And I remember
Mm,
going as a teenager, and obviously a lot of people had moved out of the street and it was
mm,
no longer a big deal anymore,
yeah.
and it was like a, oh, that's a sad moment, but I don't spend my Christmases going back to that street being like, if only you were what you were when I was a child.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I've gone Christmas light looking with friends these past few years. Like we've hired like a minibus and
Yeah.
gone and played music and it's fun and we're literally like this is a fun activity.
Hmm.
Wouldn't care if it didn't happen, but it's
No,
nice to do it. Like I love Christmas and I love Christmas light looking, but like I don't make it my entire personality.
no, it hits different as an adult too. Like you can appreciate the time and effort and the beauty that it all
Yeah.
goes into it, but it's
The
not like,
bills.
ah, amazing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so that was a big point of confusion throughout the whole thing, that I
Yeah.
was like, you are, well, what looks like to be maybe 35.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
thought. Yeah.
and we're really just like, we're really honed in on this very one specific thing that if that doesn't happen at Christmas, Christmas is ruined, and that feels childish.
Yeah.
Um, so before we get into the meet cute moment of the film, we
Mm.
kind of get this like pre meet cute with the barista at his local coffee shop.
That confused me.
And it was really confusing because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so what I do you guys have a history? What
Yeah.
is going on? And the history is that the barista has a crush on him, and that's the history, the end. And everyone
Yeah.
knows about it. The people he works with know about it. He knows about it. And I think it's just to show that he's like, he's desirable but not available. You
Yes.
know?
Yeah, for sure.
So then we get the meet cute moment where Phoebe has closed her florist shop.
Florist slash gift slash
Snack.
Christmas shop.
Um,
Shop.
she's literally just turned the closed sign around.
Hmm.
And Eric knocks on the door being like, it's a Christmas emergency. I need to
Mm,
read some flowers. And she's like, well, if it's a Christmas emergency, like, come on in. And he buys a poinsettia,
yeah.
and they have this interaction that makes her believe that he's buying flowers for a girlfriend. He doesn't, he just mentions she's gonna love them. I always want to buy flowers for her, all that kind of stuff. So then when he leaves, the best friend is like, he was cute, and she's like, he was buying flowers for his girlfriend. It's never gonna happen. And it was a very sweet interaction. The whole thing was
Yeah.
very nice and very lovely.
Yeah, I thought
Um,
so.
and it was a very nice meeting of two characters.
Yeah,
Um,
it wasn't aggressive. It was just
no,
like a conversation.
it was just like a normal thing that would happen in a store where you're like, there's been plenty of times we have gone into a store and we've walked down and we're like, that guy was cute, and
Yeah.
you keep going.
Yeah.
We find out that the flowers are for his aunt,
Yes.
and so we meet his aunt who has raised him and is very lovely. I then just wrote, sorry, Siri has decided that she is now listening to everything that I say.
Haha.
Siri, I don't need you. Thank you. Uh, where I wrote down, what is wrong with the women of today? Like, I think the whole conversation was like, when are you going to get a partner? When are you going to get a partner? When are you going to get a partner? When are you going to get a partner?
Yeah.
And it just happened very early on in the film from his aunt and her friend.
Mm.
Um, and they both kind of continued that level of conversation throughout the whole movie to
Yeah.
both Phoebe and Eric when Phoebe later
Mm.
meets down the
Mm.
track. And I'm like,
Yeah.
he's been like, he had been broken up for a year. He
Mm.
had been engaged to the person that he had broken up
Yeah.
with. So I'm like, let's pull a very unrealistic movie into realism for a moment. Be like, if he was expecting to spend the rest of his life with the one person, they had been together for a while, a year is still a relatively short time
Yeah.
to
And
deal with change.
yeah, and some people move on faster, like quicker than others. Some people be like,
Yeah.
what? Emotionally, I know that person wasn't right for me. I happen to have found someone else. Great.
Yeah.
He wasn't in that
He wasn't in that
headspace, and everyone's just like,
space.
"What's wrong with you?" I mean,
Yeah.
I know why Phoebe was single. She was obsessed with Candy Cane Lane. Can you
That's what I
imagine
said.
that?
If your whole Christmas relies on one street, ... like,
Yeah, yeah.
and
But
I just,
she's like interesting because sorry, just to backtrack just a little bit, but the
yeah,
whole that poinciana,
poinsettia,
poinsettias,
poinsettia,
etc. flowers, whatever
except
they're called,
the
the etc.
etc.
flowers,
flowers.
the points etc. flowers.
Uh-huh.
I never know how to say it. She is her her as a character. What you learn from the very beginning is she's so against change. Like
Yes.
her friend created this beautiful Christmas tree with the points etceteras. No, what is it? Poinsettias?
Is it poinsettias?
Points. See, I don't know
I don't
poinsettias.
know.
What
We're gonna make up our own.
the
The big
red
red Christmas
Christmas,
flowers.
the red Christmas flowers, and this beautiful like arrangement around the tree as like garland. And she bloody hated it. And her friend's
She
like,
did.
"Sorry, what's wrong?" And she's like, like I don't know. You should have told me you were planning on doing this."
Yeah, and
And
they are this together.
yeah. But she seems so controlling and against any change. And then he ends up noticing the display and
Yeah.
went, this is what saves my Christmas emergency," and gets the flowers. So sorry, your friend was right. This little
Yeah.
display actually worked.
Do you
Um,
like, change
yeah,
is not a bad thing.
yeah,
Change is
yeah,
not a bad thing. She is I what I really loved is that it was Beverly Mitchell, and like growing up watching Seventh Heaven, I was so excited to see her in something else, but her acting style has not changed.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Girl, you are living in the early 2000s. You have
Yes,
not
and
developed in
still
terms
on
of acting
Seventh
ability.
Heaven.
Yeah.
And like I wrote like in between her meeting Eric and then like the meeting again, she has to she's going to bake something. So she like has this recipe card of cookies or whatever she's gonna bake, and
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
100% that recipe card is empty. Like there's nothing. The way that she's reading it,
Yeah,
I'm like there's absolutely nothing
yeah,
on there.
yeah.
Um, which takes us to like meet cute number two. Like they kind of kept meeting before
Hella
they
awkward.
got, yeah, where they both reach for, they're giving out free hot chocolate
Yeah.
at the Woolworths. Um,
Yeah, the Woolworths equivalent, yeah.
and they both reach for it at the same time, and they're like, no, you, or you were first, it's yours. And then they get into this like, haven't we met? You're the flower shop
Yeah.
chick. And she's like,
Mhm.
yeah, you're the guy who, like, I hope she enjoyed the flowers. And he's like, yeah,
Mm.
she absolutely did.
Yeah.
Do you want to go have hot chocolate sometime?
Yeah.
um and so it does leave this kind of awkward feeling of like she thinks he has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna message him. And then they keep just kind of running into each other until they're like,
Mm.
oh, fate is bringing us together.
Yeah. I just
Um,
feel like she could have at least, because she says no because she thinks he has a girlfriend.
yeah,
First of all, I don't think he really gave off a vibe in the shop that he had a girlfriend.
no,
He just said he was looking for a gift. It could have been
yes,
for anyone. He could have been running off to a dinner and
he
was like,
could have
"I
been,
need something."
yeah,
And if she really was uncomfortable about it, she should be like, "Sorry, I think you've got a girlfriend. Like, I'm not really into that." But instead, just goes, "No," and then that's. I just feel like we could have cut this movie by like 20 minutes.
I think
Just
we personally could cut every movie by 20 minutes.
yeah, some of them like drag on. That's for sure.
um Eric is a vet, so we do get a lot
Yeah,
of he's not our first vet, so it's nice to have like a new overlapping occupation.
yeah.
But we do get a lot of animals.
Not dogs though.
I was about to say,
A lot of cats.
it's I literally wrote, how do you
Did
feel about cats, Aya?
oh, could live without them.
I
Really?
uh
Yeah.
I just and like so many cat scenes
Yeah.
that we didn't need.
And
Like
he was
literally one where he's like sitting there patting a cat and then we move on
yeah, he was really it made me feel uncomfortable how I don't know.
into cat ears.
Yes. Like I'm not like ugh, like not even just like a oh I love cats. Like it felt a bit I don't want to say it. It felt I'm gonna say it. It just felt a bit sexual. I don't know. I was just like, I don't know what you're doing to this cat, but I don't like it. Sorry.
Well,
I shouldn't
it's a
say things
first.
sometimes.
I
Hey,
mean, you
it's a
got to say
first.
what you feel, mate. You got to
Yeah,
say what
sometimes I
you
shouldn't.
feel.
Oh gosh.
um so then we find out about Eric's Christmas breakup. So we get the like he doesn't hate Christmas. It's just that he
No.
doesn't want to be dating
No.
and
Yes.
that kind of happens. And then we get to back to the nursing home question mark
Yeah.
retirement village question mark that the aunt lives in, Aunt Maggie. And Phoebe is there delivering flowers, and then Eric shows up a little bit later. And so that from that point onwards, they're kind of like, we're together. But before that, Phoebe is like super sassy to Maggie about hanging up Christmas decorations. Where she's like, oh, you shouldn't be doing like you shouldn't be doing that. But she does it every year probably. And she's not fragile or immobile. She's a
Yeah.
very capable
Yeah. She very
woman.
much. Yeah.
And like to Aunt Maggie's credit, she does give the sass back in that she puts the star on top of the tree and then she turns back to Maggie and is like, is that good? And Maggie's like, no, it needs to go this way, it needs to go this way. Oh,
Yeah.
it's on the wrong tree. Like again, it was like a scene that wasn't entirely necessary until we got to the point that Eric entered,
Yeah.
but also
And
just showed how gross Phoebe was as a human.
yeah, and but the reason why she was there is because she was like being more her like traditions was like I guess like being more charitable. So she like
Yeah,
volunteered to help this home
whatever
place
it
with
was. Yeah.
their decorations. And yeah, I did write a note. I think I said it in last episode too. I sound really bad and really bitter, but I wrote everyone is so giving. Like the amount of charity in this, I just know if it's I like that, but
Yeah,
it felt really forced and just like everything had to be giving and charity, like
yes,
everything.
that's
It just seems like a go-to, and obviously it's important, it's nice, and it sends a lovely message, and I get all that. I just think when it's every element, I
yeah.
don't know, it's a bit too much.
Yeah, that is fair.
This one was necessary though, I think, just because it it was important to the story. Well,
Yes, and like
important so
yes. I think too it's kind of trying to appeal to as many people as possible. People who would
sure.
give to children's charities,
Yeah,
people who would volunteer in
that's true.
a retirement, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it was trying to do a lot, and like
Yeah.
this, like the toy drive for the orphanage was very, I don't
Oh,
know.
in the vet where they put one of them in
They
the
put
vet.
the boxes in like every single business, and I was
Yeah.
like, look, good on it. Like she's really
Yeah.
trying to find her Christmas thing, but I'm like,
Yeah.
to go from visiting a street full of lights to
Yes.
multiple charitable actions is a big jump.
It is, particularly because like the whole light thing, like that whole it's very selfish in a way because even when she was told that it wasn't happening, the woman was like sorry to backtrack even more, but it ties into this whole
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
conversation. The woman, people had moved away, and this one woman who was like one of the key people for this candy cane lane was moving to Florida or something.
Yeah.
And Beverly, what's her name? Phoebe, the character Phoebe, was just a bit about herself and, oh, that affects me. Like, good for you, but it affects my life.
Huh.
So, yeah, to go from 0 to 100, where,
Was a lot.
yeah, but still
Yeah,
nice that that's what she aimed to do,
absolutely.
focused on other things other than herself, because she was pretty selfish in this movie, self absorbed.
And her parents still exist. Like that's the other thing that I think I found really
Yeah.
confusing at the end. So that I'm like, why are you
Yes.
trying to find these new Christmas traditions when your family is still around?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Um, I wrote again that like it's not okay that you're alone. I feel like that came up a lot in this film, and
Yeah.
it
I mean, we're,
tends to,
yeah, it
because
does.
that is the point of these rom-com Christmas movies, is to
Mhm.
find your soulmate.
Yeah.
Um, but I did appreciate that it was going to both of them. Like it wasn't just
Yes.
to
Her.
Phoebe, it was to
Mhm.
Eric and Phoebe the whole time of
Yep.
like, you should meet someone, you should meet someone, you should meet someone, as
Yep.
opposed to you're a female and you should be partnered. So
Yeah. And nice that he's saying that he's not ready to be in a relationship, because I feel like it's often the other way around. It's
yeah,
often the female lead saying things like that.
yeah,
Um,
there were some
so
really
that
nice
was
moments.
nice. Yeah.
And he was a pretty good actor. Like I didn't mind the guy playing Eric. Um,
Can't
I
even remember.
did write it, don't you ever just drop a date on me, please. Like as a friend, if I
Oh,
was
that
to
was
rock your
terrible.
house and you were
Yeah.
like, meet this guy, I'd be like, and I will be going home now. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So the part of the movie that we're talking about is Phoebe goes to her friend slash business
Mm.
partner's house for dinner, and the business partner has basically set her up on a date. That moment when she realizes that she's been set up, her face, I think I wrote, the date wrote, why do I feel like you had no idea I would be here? Mate, her face was just like, well, what are you doing here? Like she pulled the biggest face. She was not subtle at all. She was not happy. And like
Yeah,
fair enough, but like I don't know, play it down, mate. Like
just a little bit. But like have a
don't
conversation.
it
He
came
might be
across a bit
nice.
rude. Like
Yeah.
just be like, "Oh, hello." Don't pull a big old face. Um I wrote giant ass face in my notes because it was not subtle.
um, I think there was. So then, like, yes, they have this moment where he's like, "Look, I think I surprised you.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry that that's how it came across. That was
Yeah.
not my intention. Can I make it up to you by taking you to this dinner, this
Yeah.
event?" Where we also get Eric on a date with somebody else that he has been set up with,
Mhm.
and she gets like weirdly cranky at the fact that he's on a date with someone else when she is also on a date with someone. And
Yeah.
so that kind of stuff started getting really confusing.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but it's just after that that she kind of acknowledges that being like I was like, Christmas always feels different as an adult, and at least you know you're being silly. Like she just made some comment, I didn't write the line down, of being like, I know that I need to kind of grow up a little bit, that it was just
Mm-hmm.
a street full of lights and that there are other traditions out there that I can be exploring. But she did say, this is the start of something new, and I was waiting for us
High
to
School
launch into High School
Musical.
Musical.
I think I remember that line. I automatically thought of,
Yeah.
wow, good on you, Disney.
Well done, just
Yeah,
infiltrating like our
yeah.
thoughts all of
Mm-hmm.
the time
Mm-hmm.
with one line.
Yeah. Um, I basically stopped writing notes after that moment
I
because everyone was boring. I was bored,
I
to be honest.
did write this slow. How is there still half an hour to go?
Yeah, yeah,
It um I just like it just became a lot of like, oh, why do we have to stop running into each other, like this kind
y-
of vibe. um and and things that were just a lot. It was like a lot of eye rolls from that point on. And like, oh, we've sold out of holly and mistletoe at Christmas time. What? Who would have thought? I just, and then like, all I wrote in capital letters was dogs for literally no reason, but we're not mad about it. I think there was just
What?
another like weird vet scene where he just like walked up to a dog and then we moved on. Like,
Wow, I think I must have walked out of the room at that point. I don't remember that at all. I would have remembered a dog if I saw a dog.
yeah.
Jeez.
So then Eric comes up with the idea of let's throw a party for the orphanage. Let's like go one step. Let's not just give them the
The
toys.
toys.
Let's also throw them a Christmas party, which then eventually he turns into Candy Cane Lane. But
Mm-hmm.
at first he comes to Phoebe, I think it is like, I have an idea about this party and I would love to help too. Or vice versa. Phoebe goes to Eric about, I have this idea for a party. One of them did it. And I was
Don't
like, of
remember.
course you're helping. It's your idea. Like,
Yeah,
so much of that kind of stuff kept happening. More
yeah,
times where I'm like, why don't you trust your business partner? Your
yeah,
store is not like, there was a point where she's like, we've sold everything in the store. And I'm like, your store is not empty.
yeah. There's plenty of stuff in
There's
there. Yeah,
so many people. And like, so much of the like, oh, it's going wrong moments of this movie is because she's literally just eavesdropping on conversations and she doesn't ask
yes,
any questions.
yes,
Like, she's such a child
yes. She
that,
is.
like, not at any point has her assumptions been have her assumptions been correct, and yet she
Yeah,
will keep being like, oh, well, this is what's happening.
yeah.
And I'm
Mhm,
like, you
mhm.
only just met, you haven't really talked about anything. Why are you being like this? Why are you
Yeah,
being like this? Um,
yeah,
the reveal of Candy Cane Lane was quite sweet. Like, it was very cute of like, oh, look at what he's done. But then there were just moments in it, like the snowball moment, like throwing a snowball at the friend that she was eavesdropping on, and everyone be like, it was
that
very
moment.
dramatic.
Yeah, that moment was really awkward for me. So basically, she went to the vet and overheard a conversation where some of
Mm,
the other veterinarians were talking about Eric having a call or whatever with his ex-fiance, and then she hears, oh, he's so excited. She hears bits of the conversation and
mm,
pieces it together. What they're
mm.
talking about is the Candy Cane Lane thing, which she doesn't know about yet, but all she thinks is that they're talking about this fiance.
Yeah,
Anyway, he eventually realizes, she basically gets angry at Eric and says, I'm not going anywhere with you, blah,
yeah,
blah,
but she
blah, you
doesn't
know.
say anything to Eric really. She's like,
No,
I'm not going to the party.
yeah, it doesn't give a reason why.
Mm,
Anyway, the guy who was the other veterinarian who was saying all this stuff realized and told Eric. So then when we end up at Candy Cane Lane, Eric kind of forces him to apologize, like, don't you have something to say? And it felt
yeah,
like a father son moment where it's like he's shuffling his feet, going, I'm sorry. Like, it
yeah,
was just really, all right, primary school shit. It just felt really like, just, these people are adults, like, but
mm,
no one's acting in a mature manner at
No.
all. I don't know. It was really
I was just
bizarre.
like, why does he have anything to? He didn't do anything wrong.
No,
Why is he
she should be
apologizing?
apologizing
Oh,
for
sorry, I eavesdropped on your conversation and I got it
yeah.
entirely wrong, and then I acted like a child.
Yeah. And he didn't know that she had heard. He saw her like after a while. He didn't know how long she'd been there. Like she could have
No,
just walked up and heard, "Oh, I'm so excited." Like he said something about being excited, you
yeah,
know, and he wouldn't have known that that's all she heard. Like it's just weird. Like it was not his fault.
yeah, it was
Ugh.
so strange. And then like from that group, they then run into her parents, where
Came out of
Eric
nowhere.
Lee came. One, they came out of nowhere. They've just been in the beginning and the end of this film,
Yeah.
no other time.
Yep.
Eric leaves. Like, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go over here, and then
But he knew
immediately
them.
return. Yes.
He knew them how, and then he leaves, comes back when they go.
And then, yeah, it was like, came back immediately after they left, and she had the most awkward conversation with two people that were. I'm like, these are. Yes, I get it. They're not your actual parents.
That's what's
But
called acting.
you're acting.
You're
This is so
acting.
strange. And also, why have we assumed that they're no longer around this entire movie because you have no Christmas tradition? Like, it just.
Yeah.
The end was so strange, and then he's like, oh, and now I have to, let's go over here, this is the perfect spot, and the next minute he has a giant gift box that has
Yeah.
literally come out of nowhere. There's no way it would have fit in a pocket.
Yeah.
It's like, he's obviously not been carrying it around with him the whole
No.
time. And inside is mistletoe, and then they have the most awkward kiss where it was just kind of nothing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's fine, but I'm like,
It's not.
you
It's
waited
really
the
not.
whole movie for this moment,
Yeah.
and it's just like the whole thing is
hmm
kind of awkward. It was just a
Two.
really sad ending.
Yeah. Two overall themes. One, continuing with that, they had no chemistry at all. Like their conversations when they were acting awkward, it was like, no, this is you're rehearsing right now. This is not real. You're too awkward. It's so
Yeah.
unbelievable, and I just didn't believe that they would ever be interested in each other. And then overall, the acting was really awkward. It was as if people were trying to remember their lines because they would just stop mid sentence and take really awkward pauses, and they were just like regurgitating lines rather than
Yes, feeling them.
feeling them or just, I don't know, doing anything. It was just like no chemistry from the two leads. Well, that's bad. And then everyone else's acting, like most people's acting, was just, in my opinion, not good. I just
Yeah.
felt awkward. Everything felt awkward. If they didn't have music in the background, I don't know what. Can you imagine if this movie was silent and no festive songs in the background? What the
Right.
hell would we have been watching? I wouldn't have watched it, that's for sure.
I mean, we barely watched it to begin with, so
Yeah, and you know, well, the only reason I continued, well, not the only reason, I continued watching it so I had something to talk about today, but like, I was like, oh, you're actually using songs. Usually when you watch a Hallmark movie, it's like made up Christmas songs, like
Yeah.
Walking Around Santa or something like that kind of sounds like a song that you would hear. But
We're
these were
dropping our
actual,
Christmas album at the end of the year,
yeah,
guys.
I feel like we should. We could write like a suite of songs for Hallmark, and they'd be like the most bizarre, drinking my coffee and walking in the snow. Like it could be anything, and you would use that for an opening scene where it's like the girl's walking, she's in
Yeah.
Chicago or something.
We get, let's say, 500 followers on Instagram by November, we will drop a Christmas album.
Album, okay, no, like we'll drop a song.
One song, one excerpt of a song.
one go at writing a song. You can play the uke.
Amazing.
And
can't
I
wait.
will tap a pen on a on a book, and then we got some percussion.
It's
So-
great. Look, we've spent almost half an hour talking about
Too long.
Yeah, a lot of things we didn't particularly love about this movie. Did you get to 3 things that you did like?
I actually did. I wrote 3 things.
Really?
I did. Oh, I wrote 2. Um, I can see a comma there. I was like, "Oh, we haven't done the second one." Okay, 2 things I liked. I like the poinsettias. I think I've written that's how you so phonetically, that's how I'm reading it, poinsettias.
Mm,
And the tree that her friend made. I thought it
it
was
was very
beautiful,
nice.
and it really frustrated me when old mate Beverly Mitchell, Phoebe, didn't like it. I thought that was beautiful,
Yeah,
and it stood out in the window.
it was lovely.
And then again, what we've said is the meet cute was actually a decent meet cute. I really
Yeah.
liked that. Um, I'm gonna stick with the 2. I don't think we need a third. How about
Mine
you?
don't really have. Oh no.
Oh
Mine don't
no.
have a lot to do with the movie itself. The first thing I was like, the reminder of Seventh Heaven was quite nice. I might go back and watch that from the beginning, see what
Oh,
happens. Just
yeah.
for funsies, because I feel like everything I've gone back to that I watched in like the late 90s, early 2000s, I no longer enjoy watching.
Yep.
Um, so it'd be interesting to go back and watch now, considering how many people have gone on to do other things.
Yep.
I really liked the making the wreaths
Oh yeah.
scene, even though she was not a good teacher at all in any way, shape, or form. But I was like, that's kind of it's like it's sweet. That's nice.
Yep.
Maybe I'll get into wreath making this Christmas.
Yeah.
Um, and I did like that we started like way before Christmas. Like it wasn't this we have to collect toys in the next 24 hours for a toy.
Yes.
I liked that there was this kind of slightly more realistic lead up into Christmas
Yeah.
that we don't often get in or any other Hallmark-esque films. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's
um,
nice.
yeah, I there were things that I enjoyed. Do I want to watch it again? No.
Nah.
Um,
Do
and that's it. Do you want to do Christmas trees or rating first? How many
Christmas
Christmas?
trees because I don't think I counted. Did you count?
I didn't count.
I barely counted because I forgot. Um, I counted. I mean, there's got to be more than 14, but there
I
weren't that
don't know.
many.
There were a lot of wreaths. There was a lot of garland. I don't
A
know.
lot of poinsettias, point etceteras.
I I don't remember thinking, oh my goodness, there are so many trees in this movie.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe roughly 14 is
I
probably
think I was,
correct.
and I did try and look out for them. I got the main ones for sure, but
Yeah.
that's fine. All right, ratings. Let's go. Do you want to go first?
Um, I on the basis of never want to watch this film again.
Yeah.
Um, and that I just like on how we've rated things in the past, I went with a 4 out of 10.
So did I.
What?
Yeah,
We
twinsies. It
really
was,
agree.
and you know, it was trash, but it's still not the worst one we've ever seen.
Nothing will be worse than Love
Love
Strikes Twice.
Strikes Twice.
And look, I think that there were like, yeah, there were some silly plot lines and
Yeah.
some problematic conversation, but it was nothing like I wouldn't have rated it less than a 4. In fact, I probably was going between a 4 and a 5.
Ah,
But I'm
okay.
like, I think it's not like we've rated other things a 5 that I'm like, that's
Yeah.
better.
You do have
Better.
to think about just you have to look at it the big picture out
Yeah.
everything we've seen. I think
Mm.
at this point you can't I feel like you can't rate them just based on what you see. You've got to go, well, this
In
one had this
relation.
in relation exactly. This one had
Yeah.
that one didn't, you know?
Well, for the listeners, we're trying to curate a great Christmas watch list for the end of the
Yeah.
year.
Mm,
So it's only fair that we compare each movie to the ones we've seen previously, I guess. And
exactly.
lucky the
Exactly.
ones that were at the beginning that we had nothing to compare them to.
That's true.
Maybe
That's
we
true.
go back and watch the first like 3 later on in the year to be like,
Yeah.
no, we stand by those ratings. Um, but yeah, that's kind of it. This is our second of 5 Christmas episodes.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And then
So we've got 3 more to go.
yep, fun. And then we'll maybe sprinkle some throughout the year.
Yes.
I mean, we're in July. We're not
We're
too
in
far off from
July.
like the big festive season where we're probably doing it for
No.
2 months solid.
It's wild, but
Yeah.
we are, if you would like to watch, because we're only a week in between each one, if you would like to watch next week's movie to keep up the watch party, we are watching Ice Sculpture Christmas, which is a Hallmark movie on Prime.
Oh, stunning. I can't
Um,
wait.
and I've been trying to get us to watch this film for so long.
Yeah, I've heard it quite a few times. You're like, oh, ice sculpture Christmas looks good.
Christmas.
I
Mainly
can't
because I
wait.
want to see the ice sculptures.
I didn't even think of that. They're gonna be terrible. Or
Yeah,
like not
of
even
course.
CGI. I don't know. I don't even know what to expect. They wouldn't have paid a lot, surely. I don't know. We'll have to
There's only one
watch.
way to find out, and we are going to watch it. So if you would like to come along this journey with us in our weekly episodes, Ice Sculpture Christmas will be next week's.
Hmm.
And then we will let you know as we go what's coming up next. But if you
Exactly.
don't want to watch it and you just want to see our reactions to it, or like our mini bits of episode snippets that we pop on socials, you can follow us at Hallmark Pod on Instagram and TikTok. You can also
Stunning.
email us
Hmm.
at hallmarkedpod@gmail.com. Just tell us what you're thinking. If
Yeah.
you like the podcast, if you don't like the podcast, if you have friends that you think will like the podcast, to share it with them. Feel free to rate it, review it, subscribe to it, whatever you need to do to make sure that you get us in your podcast streaming of
Yeah.
choice when we land. So yeah, other than that, any shout outs for sponsorship this
No,
week?
do you know, I'm gonna give it a rest. I think we've been a bit unwell this week. I think we just need time to heal
We do
mentally, physically, spiritually,
sponsory.
sponsory. I've also just sorry, everyone, if we sound like I really need a cough. So can we wrap this up? Oh boy,
We're a
winter.
little croaky. It's
Yeah,
gonna
sorry
be a
about that.
thing. Yeah, we're in the middle of winter, team. It's what we do, but
But
we're
we're here to
never
be
gonna
festive.
miss a week for you guys.
Yeah.
We're never gonna look. It's the perfect excuse to watch a Hallmark Christmas movie when
Oh,
you're.
100%.
So we've done well. It's been weird talking to you over Skype.
I know. And do you know what? It's not bad. So if we ever feel like, you know what? I don't feel like.
I don't want to drive the 5 minutes up the road to
Yeah.
see you.
Yeah.
So let's do it by Skype.
It's always an option. Well, we'll see how this turns out.
Yeah, we'll see. Guys, apologies in advance if the quality is subpar, but we've tried it, we know it, and that's all we can ask for.
That's how you grow as a person. Is you try things. So we're fine.
And on that note, we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Bye.